G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator with Mags. So today, no mountains, no unusual geological formations. No, today we're just going to take a casual trip up the Australian coast from Cairns International YBCS to the runway at Lizard Island Resort. That's YLZI on the Great Barrier Reef. So, let's get started. Alright, so we're flying out today in the JMB VL-3. And just take a look at this thing. This is a sports car with wings. It is a gorgeous plane. I really do like flying this. And it's really simple to run too. So if we just flick the fuel over. Throttle, choke is on. Power, fuel pump. And we'll just give that a few seconds. Alright. And we turn the fuel pump off now. Done. That's pretty much it. Just give it a second and then we'll close the choke. And that does it. It's real bloody easy to get this thing going. Alright, so now we need to get HoTaS. So we are at 29.92. And we don't appear to be getting any HoTaS. That's unfortunate.
Cairns ground Med Air 069er ready to taxi departing straight out with Golf. Med Air 069er taxi to and hold short of runway 15 using taxiway Alpha Alpha 4 Bravo 4 Bravo Bravo 2. Contact tower on 124.9er when ready.
Alright, so 15, acknowledge taxi clearance.
Taxiing hold short runway 15 using taxiway Alpha Alpha 4 Bravo 4 Bravo Bravo 2 Med Air 069er.
Really wish I actually had knee boards for this at the moment. So 15 northbound. So we're going to go right to the other end of the runway. And we'll be wanting to cross over out there. And then just left hand and go all the other way. Oh well, too easy. Hopefully we get HoTaS before then. That's just so we can set our barometric pressure and make sure it's right, so our altitude is accurate. Not that it's going to matter. I'm not going to be doing too much in the way of low flying, and we're not going to be dodging any mountains here today. Off. I'm not going to worry about doing a pushback here. We're just going to steer her out and turn right. Frame drop there, but that's alright. We've got plenty of space here. Alright, so we'll taxi up to the other end and get ready for the takeoff. Tell you what, it's a bloody busy day at Cairns today. A second one already coming in. We've just had the landing go through. Just about lined up here at the moment. A VHUCM. And it looks like we've got another one that's just coming in behind it. So one after another coming in from the north. Hopefully it doesn't hold up our takeoff all that long. But anyway, so the flight for today. So this flight was actually inspired by, well, actually more of a little bit of a curiosity, having a bit of a poke around this end of the world, because I'm looking at getting one of the career mode mods installed onto Microsoft Flight Simulator. In fact, we'll have a little bit of a chat about that soon, because I'm still really surprised that you need to mod stuff like that in. But I thought somewhere around Cairns wouldn't actually be a bad spot to start a business in one of those mods. For those who are unaware, there is a series of mods, or a couple of different types of mods that you can can get for various flight simulators, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 included, that allows you to essentially run a career mode. So you will start off with X amount of money, and you can rent out an aircraft, and then you can perform jobs as a real pilot would, flying commercial, sometimes moving people, sometimes moving product. JST 930, that's a Jetstar flight, that's a real plane. Looks like VH is turning off. Yeah, it's aborting, it's doing a go around. We're gonna have a good view for the Jetstar landing here. So we'll hold short. You're a little bit too high if you're planning on coming down. Now you're climbing out. That is an abort.
Topin 661, continue taxi.
That's getting awfully low for a go around there.
Roger, Topin 661.
500 feet over the bay, that'd be entertaining for the people on board. 400? Jeez. Takeoff clearance.
Cairns Tower Med Air 069er, ready at runway 15 departing straight out.
It's Cairns, not Cairns Tower.
Cleared for takeoff runway 15 straight.
Nobody here's asking for the manager. Knowledge, so before the tower complains.
Cleared for takeoff runway 15 Med Air 069er.
I think I'll just give it the beans. We won't worry about doing a stop and then a start, we'll just go. QLK. That's QantasLink, I think. Very busy day here. So we'll just clear down the end of the airport and then we'll roll off left and go down over the bay. Actually, speaking of which, where the hell did our Jetstar flight go? Yeah, it didn't fucking tank it, did it? Well, it would be appropriate for a Jetstar flight. Last seen 400 feet over the bay after a go around. Yeah, I'm not seeing him on the ground or anything, so disappeared without a trace.
Cairns Tower, generic hotel, November Delta 72812 miles northwest inbound ILS Whiskey runway 15 approach.
This is coming in.
November Delta 728 Cairns Tower. Cleared ILS Whiskey runway 15 approach. Altimeter 29er, 2.218 at 5.
All things considered, Cairns doesn't actually look all that bad. Pretty close.
Cleared ILS Whiskey runway 15 approach, generic 728.
Alright, so anyways, now the transmissions are over. Yeah, this was sort of an idea on a spot that I could potentially start a business for the flight simulator, the career mods. The idea would be, Cairns is basically an input point on the edge of the Great Barrier Reef for, we don't see it too well out here, for a lot of tourism. A lot of tourism goes through Cairns. So, and there's a lot of resorts, and that's actually where we're going today. We're going to Lizard Island, which is a resort in the Great Barrier Reef. I've never been there myself, does look beautiful, would like to go and visit someday when I actually have the money to be able to afford to go to a place like that. But it's the kind of place where you would do short runs out of here. Basically, just think of, you know, some rich wanker comes into Cairns, he's in his plane, he's flown in commercial. From Cairns to get to Lizard Island, he'd have to take about a 2-hour bus ride. VHUCM. It's a VH flight, that could be privately owned. and a real aircraft. Actually, I suspect it probably is. Anyways, yeah, he's come in. He wants to go to Lizard Island. He's got about a 2-hour bus ride or a 2-hour taxi ride, whatever he wants at this point. Otherwise, he may have to jump onto, if there's enough people to warrant one, a small...
Mad Air 069er, you are leaving my airspace. Frequency change approved.
That.
Cairns Tower Mad Air 069er, frequency change.
Q-Link, that's definitely Qantas Link. But anyways, as I was saying a moment ago, yeah, you'd be looking at a 2-hour bus ride or a car drive, taxi, whichever way you want to look at it, in order to be able to get up to the port area to catch the ferry across to Lizard Island. Or you'd have to have enough people going to Lizard Island in order to actually warrant having a private charter flight, which would probably only head from the Cairns International up to the nearest runway to the ferry. I have to change the radio here in a second if they don't shut up. Okay. So yeah, and that would only probably take you up to the docks, and then you would still have to ferry it across to the island. But if you've got money and you want to be more direct, it's getting frustrating. Hang on. No, we'll change channels. Is there a local general information channel in this area? I haven't flown this section before. At Daintree Airport. That'll be quiet. Looks like nothing local. Well, it's obviously all the local airports, but no general information channel. Yeah, we'll leave it as is. But for running a business anyway, if you wanted to get out to these islands, that would take about 2 hours, and our turning point is roughly where we want to be going. But if you didn't want to take that flight and then have to take the ferry over to the island, because the island does have a runway, you would be able to fly that direct. And so VIP flights direct from Cairns to Lizard Island would be a thing. In fact, there is probably a bunch of charter companies that are actually doing that, or at least they were before the virus shut down the tourism industry in Australia. So if you had the money, you could bypass any bus or any road transport or any general charter flights, basically hauling people to a ferry and the ferry trip over to the island itself as well. You could bypass all of those and fly direct into the resort, and that would be the kind of stuff that you would do. Also, additional flights if you would sort of get in the area. If anything went wrong at the resort, anyone got sick or injured, they'd probably need to be flown out. There'd be private flights for those. And generally it would be air ambulance, but if air ambulance was not available, you would have private charter to get out to nearest airport to be able to move person to hospital. So fixed wings would be brought in for that one. There'd also be supplies out to the islands. They're not far offshore. They're only a fairly short ferry trip, probably no more than an hour themselves. 40 minutes to an hour in order to get out there. If you had a fast boat, you could probably do it even quicker. But you're still looking at flights to those islands and back for very specific supplies. Mail delivery would be done by plane, short hop out on the plane as a general rule if you needed, like express mail out to the islands. And there's more than one. There is all sorts of islands up and down the coast around Cairns, and some of them a little bit further offshore than others, as well as obviously all of the tourism spots up the coast itself. So this wouldn't be a bad spot just to fly around in between, and then be able to make jumps from here back to Brisbane if you needed to, and generally across Queensland.
Departure on
Q-Link is now clear of Cairns and out of the area.
Generic 728 exit runway when able.
Okay, now hopefully it'll be quiet again. But yeah, this wouldn't be a bad spot to actually run the business. Unfortunately, I can't actually start that now. At the moment, it seems, there was two that I was looking at, because I haven't ran any of these previously in flight simulators before. The fact that I've had to mod a career mode has always been something that's kind of annoyed me with flight sims, commercial and general aviation flight sims. And I'll explain why in a moment, although I've discussed this on a DCS video in the past. So most of my regular viewers who have been around for a while have probably already heard most of these discussion points before. But at the moment, I kind of can't install on the mods. So there's a couple of these mods that you can have. The main one I was looking at because it's free is FS Economy, or Flight Simulator Economy. Now this is a small business mod, but checking the website on it, there is a warning message up on the website that was posted the 29th of August, I think it was, that all new user registrations are disabled. I imagine it's because of the load of people that were signing up in the lead up to Microsoft Flight Simulator. But, we're in September now. It's been a couple of weeks since that was posted and still no sign up. So at the moment, that mod is just, if I can't sign up for it, it's not available because it isn't required to sign up. The other one I was looking at is On Air, but it's a subscription service, so I've got to pay a subscription fee for a mod to give me a career mode. And that kind of annoys me because, just pause for a moment and consider all the other flight sims that are out there. Well, not just flight sims, simulation genre games, I suppose, is the best way to put it, in general. We'll start off with Euro Truck Simulator. Euro Truck and American Truck Simulator, without a doubt, the absolute most popular simulation products on the market today. There are more people playing that than any other simulator combined. Insanely popular. It does simulate a truck. It does simulate driving a truck, which in itself is, I find, relatively boring. I've driven trucks before. I don't find driving trucks too interesting, but I do like those because there is a career mode where I build a business, and that is very interesting how you do that. Go over to any of the combat flight simulators. You're playing a military man, you're doing campaigns, you're completing missions, you have a career built into it. Often there is a progression system built into the flight simulator itself where you can actually earn new ranks, you'll get medals based on what you do. So there's a career mode built into almost all military combat simulators, or flight simulators. Your tank simulators tend to be the same thing, there tends to be a career mode. Even something like Farming Simulator. Farming Simulator, I have never had any interest in because I grew up on a farm. I've driven tractors for real. In fact, when I first started this channel, I was paying the rent by driving tractors. And yeah, I've driven the machinery. But Farming Simulator isn't just about driving the machinery. It's about managing a farm and building up the farm. All of the simulation products that are on the market, regardless of what genre they're sort of focused on, have an integrated career mode in every single one of them that allows you to build, establish, run a business, or to operate as somebody who would be a professional inside of the field. For military combat simulators, for example, you would be a professional combat pilot and you would be flying missions that are given to you to complete and flying through campaigns and that kind of thing. Except general aviation and commercial simulation, flight simulation. There's no mission structure here. Outside of the tutorials and the landing challenges, there is no mission structures in any of them by default. You take off from wherever you want to fly from and fly to wherever you want to fly to. And that's it. There's no reason to do it other than you want to do it, you're curious about doing it, you feel like doing it, you enjoy doing it. Beyond that, there is no building a business, there's no establishing anything, there is no developing anything, there's nothing. And I actually think, and I have thought for a while, that the fact that there isn't that kind of a thing installed into a general aviation commercial flight simulator from the get-go is actually part of the reason why flight simulation has so much difficulty retaining players long-term. I mean, just as an example, obviously we don't have all the numbers for how many people are playing Flight Sim because we do we only, it's on multiple platforms, but we do have the numbers for Steam. The release week for Microsoft Flight Simulator, 68,000 people were playing this simultaneously. Just 4 weeks later, 15,000. Now, 15,000 still makes it the single biggest flight simulator on Steam. In fact, it has more people playing it than all of the other flight simulators on Steam combined. I would wager it's probably got more players playing it than all the other flight simulators combined when you include the players that are playing from outside of Steam. It's huge for a flight simulator, and it still lost 3/4 of its audience. I wonder how many people left. Not because the computer wasn't good enough to run it, not because they weren't happy with some aspect of the flight simulation or the rest of it. I wonder how many actually left because they flew around a couple of times, went a couple of places they were interested in seeing, and then had nothing else to do. They had no drive to continue flying. There was no development, nothing else that they could do within the sim other than just create another flight, and they were looking for something. I mean, it's no lie. There's a reason why games developers, even sometimes when it's completely unnecessary, put progression systems into games. Because as a general rule, psychologically, people like progression systems, and there is no better progression system than building, establishing, and growing a business. Bringing back my RPMs here a little bit. They're a little high. There we go, we're in the green. Okay. Just running it a little bit hard. I'm thinking this might actually do some engine damage. But yeah, there is no better progression system than that. And Flight Simulator is the only one that sort of lacks one. Can't wait till the replay system's in place in this, so I can get those nice third-person shots without having to dick around with the flight so much. I can go back and grab them in post. But yeah, I don't, just to be clear, because this always starts an argument, and I've never really understood why certain aspects of the flight simulation community are so against this idea, especially since it can only benefit them long-term by giving a reason for more people to stay. I mean, nothing about the flight simulator that currently exists needs to change as a result of the addition of a career mode. The free flight doesn't need to go anywhere, the landing modes or landing challenges don't need to go anywhere. None of the existing flight simulator needs to go anywhere. In fact, you could have it as an entirely separate menu option that if you didn't want to run a career mode, you didn't have to. Everything else would be exactly as it could. In terms of development resources, yeah, it would most certainly consume some. Any kind of development will definitely consume some development resources. However, if this would entice enough players to potentially pick this up or to stay with the title for longer, it'd be worth putting on a couple of extra developers just to develop a career mode so you didn't have to pull resources away from any other location in the sim. And that is YCFL Cape Flattery. So this is our turning point. And if you were getting a charter flight up for the ferry, that's the airfield that you'd land at before you jump in the boat. Anyways, from this point we should be no more than about 10 to 15 minutes out. Should probably change this over to the right-hand tank now. Not a whole lot else to say at this point. We're just going to cut across to the island.
Air 069er, 3 miles southwest, 1,900 feet inbound to land, runway 30.
Pretty sure this is an unmanned, unmaintained runway, so we're not going to get a tower response here, but it's still best to make our announcement. Now, the resort, there's actually a couple of them on the island. You can see one just there. That'll probably have the boatyards on it. And then there's a larger resort here on the north side of the island. And the runway backs onto that resort. And there it is. So 30 will be approaching from the south. We'll make our landing. So we'll wrap around the top of this mountain and come in from behind. Yeah, that's looking about right. Yeah, it's looking like the refueling station is up this end as well. So this is good. So we'll land from the south and we can just head straight up the runway. And we'll park at the refueling station at the end. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the discussion that we've had so far here, or at least the points that I'm bringing up, are probably going to start a fairly hot debate in the comment section. For some reason, there are aspects of the flight simulation community that really don't like the idea of campaign modes, but I'm really of the mind, honestly, that something like this should be in the simulation as default. People shouldn't have to pay a subscription fee in order to have access to a career mode that's available in virtually every other simulation type. You shouldn't have to mod it in. You should be able to put mods in that'll enhance it and make it better, expand it, but it shouldn't need to be modded in wholesale. Final.
Yankee Lima Zulu India traffic Mad Air 069er is on final runway 30 to land.
No, I do not need to pull up. Actually, that probably go away. Yeah, there we go. It's going away now. Gears down. Alright, we're in a fairly good position. We just gently bring it in. This would be the kind of place to go for a holiday. Just, you know, tropical island, Great Barrier Reef, its own tiny little airstrip. This would be the place to come. And there it is. Oh, whoa, 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 maybe a little too fast there. Little skittish to the left, but alright. I think we're all good and stable now. So, touchdown. And definitely not the worst landing I've had, just a little twitchy. Although to be expected, we're on a fairly light aircraft and we've actually no, we haven't done too bad on fuel. We've still got 2/3 of a tank. It's not bad. And here we go. So anyways, yes, I will most certainly be creating an account and starting up Flight Sim economy as soon as it's available to do so. But until then, I guess I'll just keep free flying around, because I'm not going to pay a subscription fee in order to access something that I really do think should be in the game by default. I've got enough subscriptions without more at the moment anyway. Alright, so trim good, we don't need to touch that. It is just key off. And avionics, fuel tank should be that one to shut off. And that's it. Anyways, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you very much for watching. Microsoft Flight Simulator will be returning to the channel very soon. Until next time, remember to click that like button if you did, share and subscribe if you want to see more, and as always, take care.